Tonight, our guest is Ike Ndolo. He's going to come and share his music with us and his walk with the Lord and discuss different issues with his music and ministry. It'll be an exciting show. Excited, had a good time with him this afternoon and talking to him. Good to see you, Doug.
You too, Father.
Doug, I wanted to tell you, I've been away last 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
I was up in Maine, giving a retreat, and went up to Benedicta, Maine.
Were you the main speaker?
I was the main speaker, and Susan Conroy was there. She shared some as well. And this was, they told me it was north of Bangor. So north of Bangor, translation. It's way up there in the state. And it was a real treat for me. It was a town of 250 people. And people from all over came to this retreat. We had over 100 people there. And they told me that Maine is known for being a secular state. I guess percentage-wise has a lot of people that personally claim to be secular, I guess. And they're in a great struggle up there in defending traditional marriage. A few years ago, if you remember, we talked, or maybe it's 2 years ago, we talked a lot about it on this show, even on the phone with some people. They had it was up for a vote, gay marriage, and it was defeated, and now it's back on the ballot again in November. So I wanted to just touch on some of the things I took off the Diocesan Portland website, Diocese of Portland website, and I think this is obviously a critical issue. And I know, Doug, you were just mentioning to me, because it seems like it's not enough just that, you know, one group of people to do what they want here, but it's like they want this approval, recognition from all parts of society, right?
It reminds me a little bit of Henry VIII, you know, in one sense, that he really wanted, you know, Thomas More to not only just, you know, kind of go along with him. He wanted his approval. He wanted it to be embraced. You know, Thomas didn't speak out against the king until the very end, after he'd been condemned. But to that point, he just remained silent, but that wasn't enough. And I think what you're finding is there is an effort from many in the gay community that wants not just an approval and an equal, you know, share, if you will, in society of acceptance and such, but to be able to have us embrace. And to the point of even, you know, encourage, support it, and even educate and train children in this lifestyle, regardless of what parents want or don't want with their kids to hear or learn. They want it to be mandatory, that they have to. And this is a big concern, because it isn't just a you do your thing, we'll do our thing sort of approach. This is a we want to do our thing, and we want you to fully embrace and expect that we're going to kind of lay it upon you like this, and you just got to take it. Right. And that's a little scary, because it gets a little more aggressive in that way. Right.
And it does contradict our faith, right? The Catholic faith, you know, biblical understanding of sexuality is that, you know, gay marriage would not be permissible. You know, to act on a homosexual inclination is always intrinsically wrong, and the Church speaks of it as a disorder. But there's also, but the issue comes up, like the opposing side would say, well, you're just imposing our faith. Well, certainly it is part of our faith, but we also say according to the natural law. It's a violation of the natural law and the role of government to protect society and the common good. And from the Portland website, I read this, it was good. It said, marriage is unique for a reason and has something truly and profoundly valuable to offer society. Unique and valuable, marriage does. It is the foundation of the family and the best place for children to be loved, cared for, educated, and taught to be productive, creative, upright, and responsible citizens. Right? So the government has a stake because it wants a healthy society. When we recognize the truth of marriage and support it, we ensure that as many children as possible know and are known by, love and are loved by the mother and father and the exclusive marital embrace. By the grace of God, they are brought into being. In their parents' permanent marital love, these children find their greatest security. So we say marriage, a mother and father, is vital, is good for the healthy growth and development of children. The complementarity of the sexes is good for the spouses, right? The two come together, form a bond, and their differences, the gender differences, minister to the other. So it results in a good for the spouses, and that bond and stable relationship of marriage is good for society, right? It bears good fruit in society. It is the permanent bond between one man and one woman and the indispensable good at the heart of every family and every society. Attempting to redefine marriage to include any other kind of relationship empties the term marriage of its inherent meaning, for it excludes the necessary complementarity between man and woman, treating sexual difference as if it were irrelevant to what marriage is in its essence, in fact, and in truth. So we need to, this is an important issue, and we need to defend traditional marriage. And as Doug mentioned, certainly even as a preacher, we hear stories in Europe and Canada where, all these things are classified as hate speech to even speak out against gay marriage. So I just want to support the people in Maine by our prayers. They got this upcoming vote. And just to acknowledge, I had a great time up there and met a lot of wonderful people. And what impressed me, it was sparsely populated. A lot of people came for this retreat, and they really were hungry for the gospel. Not to say, they don't have good priests and things ministering up there, but it's always fun to have somebody new there. And it was just really encouraging for me to be there, and a place of great beauty as well.
Yeah.
So
next time you have to take me with you so I can see the
I knew he was going to say that. He always wants me to bring him with.
Go see these wonderful places.
Yeah, we need to go someplace together. If I get another nice
like
trip.
Rome.
Rome,
yeah.
Okay. Give me a list, and we'll try to.
There you go. There you go. We'll work it out.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Ike Ndolo, so don't go away. Welcome to Life in the Rock. Tonight our guest is Ike Ndolo. Welcome, Ike.
How you doing?
Good to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here.
Now you are becoming a big-time singer now, right?
So they say.
You're friends with Matt Maher, and you're performing. You tell me you're performing with Jackie Francois coming up here?
Yeah, we're going on tour together in September for almost 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, so most of the month of September. So we'll be actually kind of in this area in Alabama, and so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had Jackie on the show, and it's a great guest. And you're based out of Phoenix.
Yes.
And that is, there's something about Phoenix. That diocese is just kind of bustling and happening, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I've been there for about 11 years, and I think the thing that keeps me there is definitely the activity in the church, and there's a lot of young people doing a lot of good things, and yeah, it's cool. It's hot. But that doesn't keep me there.
Is that part of it? I mean, they have those big schools like ASU, and there's so many young people. Is that kind of the vitality out there?
I think that's got to be it for sure. There's, my church is very close to ASU campus, and it's a very young church, and so I think that's definitely a big part. And there's a big Newman Center there. So, but who knows? Maybe just something in the water. But ever since I've been there, that's always kind of been the thing. Is there's a ton of young adults. Right. In that diocese, and just a lot of things happening. So it's beautiful. I love it. It's great.
But now you're from Missouri.
Yes.
And tell us about your background. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I grew up in Missouri. I was born in Columbia, Missouri, and my parents are actually from Nigeria. So my dad moved here. He actually went to Toledo, Ohio first, and then moved to Columbia, Missouri, and then my mom followed a little bit after. She was actually 8 months pregnant with me when she moved to Missouri. So yeah, so I grew up in Columbia, and
let me ask you about this, because I'm fascinated by the faith in Nigeria. We have a lot of interns, priests studying communications. They come here for a month or two, and they're always sharing some of their faith. And why is it? I mean, Nigeria seems like it has such a vibrant Catholic faith.
Yeah, especially kind of in the part of the country where my family's from, the East. Faith, the Catholic faith for sure, just seems to be abounding there. And I was talking to a sister just yesterday who's from Nigeria, from kind of the same area that my parents are from, and they're celebrating she said that they're celebrating 100 years of missionary work in that area. You know, so a lot of Catholic priests from like Ireland, you know, came over, and you know, that's even with my grandfather. He wasn't really Catholic, and that's how he was converted, was a missionary priest. So yeah, my whole family is like that, and my mom, you know, kind of, it was growing up in that. She wanted to be a nun before she met my dad, you know, and so that's just kind of a testament of what's happening, and you know, it's really cool.
Is there a particular quality of the faith, of the Nigerian faith, that you think you have, or that maybe is part of your music, or?
I think it's definitely the just the spirit and the passion. You know, I watched a video of a mass happening there. We have a priest friend, and he showed us a video of the mass, and it was almost like 2 hours long, 2.5, 3 hours long, and it's just so cool. You know, there's no music happening, but the congregation's just kind of singing on their own, and you know, preparation of gifts. People are bringing up gifts, and they're bringing up yams and chickens, and just kind of jamming down the aisle, singing, and like, it's really cool. So I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense for who I am. Even though, you know, I was born in the States, you know, I'm definitely still very Nigerian, and that's definitely a part of me. So I would say for sure the passion that I see. You know, and the best examples were my parents, especially my mom. You know, she was the one that was, she's such a faithful woman, and she's just so passionate and just in love with her faith, and definitely trickled down to myself and my siblings for sure. But
now music wasn't really part of your early life.
No, not really, not traditionally. I mean, I loved music, you know, like probably a lot of people, and but yeah, I played sports. Growing up, I played sports a lot, and you know, basketball and football, and I always wanted to play music, so I asked my parents, like, hey, can I get a guitar? And they're like, nah, we'll get you piano lessons, and they never did, you know. So yeah, so it really wasn't. It wasn't until later on that music kind of came into my life, and I went to it was my senior year, and I decided that, you know, I'm just going to do it. So I left school during lunch. I went to a pawn shop and bought my first guitar, and $100 I think, or something like that. And
you still have that?
It's floating around somewhere. I think my mom has it, or my sister, or something like that. But yeah, I still have it. I haven't played it obviously in years, but that was my first deal. It was this Oscar Schmidt acoustic guitar from this pawn shop just down the street, and I wore it out for sure. For sure.
I love that story. I mean, Longelus was here, and one of the young women there was telling me their guitar was from Montgomery Ward.
Oh,
so
yeah,
was like old. Well, we're gonna go to one of your pieces here at the Sound in 2 minutes. Could you set that up for us?
Yeah, it's from my first record called "We Are the Beggars," and this song in particular, when I was writing it, definitely had my church in mind. And as I travel around the country, it's just, I always imagine things that I think the church should sing and to really worship to. And so this song in particular, it's just from Scripture, and Jesus, at the sound of your name, every knee shall bow down, every tongue confess. And that's kind of the chorus of the song. And it's really a church song, and I wrote it for the church to sing and to proclaim, just kind of like a celebratory, but also just declaration, worship song to the Lord. So yeah, that's at the Sound.
This is At the Sound.
Will stand for you with hearts restored and new. Now's the time to raise our hands outstretched in praise. At the sound of your name, every knee will bow down. We will shout your praise. This church will follow you. Our sight has been renewed. Consume us by your grace, and save us from the grave. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, at the sound of your name, every knee will bow down, we will shout your praise. Jesus, 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 at the sound of your name, every knee will bow down, we will shout your praise. You make all things new. 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 Jesus, Jesus, at the sound of your name, every knee will bow down, we will shout your praise. Jesus, Jesus, at the sound of your name, every knee will bow down, we will shout your praises. We sing, you make all things new. You make all things new. You make all things new. Yeah, we sing, you make all things new. You make all things new. You make all things new.
Well, that was great.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thanks.
You told me something interesting before about you're not
Happy with it.
you don't like to look at singing as performing, but as worship
Yeah.
and prayerful.
Yeah. You know, I came to music kind of, I would say, late for most musicians. You know, I started playing when I was 18, and my initial kind of thrust into that was this thought of leading worship. You know, leading worship for a group of people. So that song is not necessarily just a song; it becomes more than that. And that was really that really drew me closer to Christ. Was that idea of worship, and even in those moments of singing songs, you know, and just making them more than that. And so I think by nature I'm not really a performer. You know, it's
Right.
just I get uncomfortable with that word and that thought. So some of it's comfort, but some of it's I don't ever want to lead people to myself. I want to lead them to Christ, and so that idea of performance I try to shove away and to really bring on the fact like, hey, we're worshiping together, and I have a guitar, I'm singing these songs, and but I'm just trying to lead you to a place of worship and ultimately to a place of contemplation with God. And so yeah, so I think that's the my focus and my heart, you know, whenever I play, you know.
You know, I bet that's hard. I've often wondered that about performers. You're a professional musician, full-time, on the road a lot.
Right.
And you do have performance aspects of your craft.
Yeah.
But how do you keep up that the faith part and the prayerfulness? Is that, do you pray before the show? And
Yeah,
things?
for sure. We always pray before and ask for humility, which sometimes can be a dangerous prayer right before you go on, because a string will break. Or
we joke about that at Mass. You know, don't pray for humility before you go out there to serve or something.
Yeah, yeah. So I still do it, and every time I do it, I'm like, all right, I'm praying for humility because I know I need to, but
Just be gentle, Lord, in the way you bring it about.
Exactly. It might come in a real way. So, but we always pray before we go on, and really just to try to get the focus off of us, because it can be, you know, we'll do like a youth conference, and it's like big stage and lights and all these things that you know, has the performance aspects to it, and you really have to kind of bring your spirit almost away from that and say, all right, not about me, not about me, not about me. It's about God, what you're doing, and if I could be invisible. You know, sometimes I wish like these things, like you know, at a youth conference or something, I could just be in the back or something, or put a sheet over us so no one knows. You know, like, so the focus is not on us. You know, we try as much as possible to engage, but also to not bring the focus on myself.
That's an interesting idea for a gimmick. The band that plays with a sheet over them. We never see the performers, the musicians. We don't know who they are. Have to work on that.
Yeah. Probably just defeating the purpose. But
I like what you're saying. The idea is you're not letting the music or the craft become more important than the people that you're presenting it to, and ultimately God. Right. And you're putting it. There's a prioritizing of it there that's powerful and is going to make it more efficacious in the end.
Yeah, for sure. And I just seen just conversion happen in those moments where you can kind of step outside of yourself and you know, you see, you know, I do a lot of youth conferences in the summer, and some of these kids, they don't even, that word, they've heard it, but they don't really understand, and I can totally relate because that was me, you know, and so you can just see it in a 3-day conference. You can see from day to day. You know, sometimes I try to spot out the same kids. If it's big, that's kind of hard, but even like specific groups, and see kind of the progression. And you know, some of them you can see it happening. They're opening up, you know, more. And at the end of it, they're like, "Gosh, that was such an amazing experience." You know, I really felt like I let the Holy Spirit in for the first time in my life. And those moments of worship, you know, so if I'm up there and I'm about myself, you know, and then ultimately, like, you know, it'll be like, "Oh, Ike was awesome," but I was like, I don't want that to be the end. I want the end to be, you know, taking you to the cross and taking you to God. And
music has that special spiritual quality about it, right? That really can just go right to the heart.
For sure.
And open the heart. And do you also do some speaking or any that kind of ministry? Maybe in a concert even? Or?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, in the concert, I think I can't help but share sometimes, you know, where I've come from, or what this song means, or, you know, because there's a lot of the times I'll do a concert and the songs that I write, to me, are still worship. It's moments of worship, but it's personal, so I do like to share. And I was a youth minister for several years, so when asked, sometimes I'll do it, but
you know what it's like in the trenches.
Yeah,
right?
I do. I definitely do. Yeah. I really do prefer that guitar, so maybe sometimes it's a comfort thing, but yeah, I do. You know, I do do a little speaking, but for the most part, my passion and my heart is leading worship, and I think that it's more than just where I'm comfortable. I think it's where God has me, you know, where He has me.
And we're going to talk about how you came to the awareness, and that a little bit more about that path to where God has you after this break. So we're going to take a quick break. Be back in just a minute. Welcome back. Doug, you had a question for Ike.
Well, yeah, just, you know, as we're talking about music, and Father mentioned earlier just a little bit ago about the spiritual element and the nature of music, and how music has this power to, wow, just, you know, blow you away. I love the idea of, you know, watching a horror movie. A friend of mine would say, he's a classical musician, he said, watch a horror movie and turn the sound down, and it changes the dynamics dramatically. Then play circus music in the background while you're watching the scene, and it becomes a comedy. You know, the fact that music has that impact to really accent so many things in our life. It can move the heart, the soul to tears, it can move it to prayer, but it can also move it to negative things. And our secular society has this multi-gazillion-dollar industry that no matter what the economy looks like, people will still throw money into their music because it's an identification sort of thing. Sure. Speak to that a little bit if you could about, you know, especially where young people are at, because it seems to be really where it hits hard. Young people being drawn into this identification of this about themselves and what they relate to musically, but some of it's pretty dark in our world, or pretty confusing. You know, what do you say to some of that?
Well, you know, I always kind of, when I think about music and music in the broader sense too, because I think we naturally take music and put it in sections, and obviously we need to do that. There's different types of music, and even with like Christian music, you call it Christian music, but there's still different genres within Christian music. So I always like to, talk about art, and art is something that has been throughout all of time. Man has always, tried to create beautiful things, and whether that be in paintings or sculptures, literature, and music, which I think is one of the strongest mediums of art. And as in modern day, the artist has become so huge, so important. It's more than the piece of music that person wrote. It's who that person is, and where, back in classical ages, like you probably never ever got to see your favorite composer if you even had that, or if you even heard of them ever, like a lot of people in Beethoven's time didn't know who he was, and so.
Unless they went to iTunes.
Yeah, exactly. Download Beethoven, But nowadays you can't take those two things away,
Right.
It's not just someone, writing music. It's like, okay, who is this person doing that? Right. And I think.
Well, and to the point where we know their birthday, we know
Sure.
Justin Bieber's birthday, his favorite color,
right.
what he ate for lunch, because
Right.
he's tweeting it now.
Right.
You're right. The artist and their work, the musician and their work are really one and the same these days.
Yeah, and I think that's just our connection, our need and our want to connect with people, and it's almost like an incarnational thing. It's like, oh, I love this person's art. I want to know them. I want to know more about them, and so it really leaves a lot of responsibility on the artist. And I always say, like, we're all created creatures. We're not, there isn't one person that wasn't designed by God, and God doesn't know intimately. And I always think for the artist's soul, the painter, the writer, the songwriter, the musician, their art is a way to communicate that divine spark within them. And even if they don't even know it themselves, it is almost becomes a form of prayer and even just discovery. And for some artists, they know God, and so and that might be most important. So what comes out is this music, this type of music. But for some people, they're not even that close, but it still sometimes it ends up coming out beautiful, and there are secular artists who write songs that they probably just write it for a girl, but it sounds like God trying to communicate with man, or man trying to communicate with God. So I really do believe that the artist is trying to communicate, truth and beauty, whether they know it or not. But now in today's culture, that artist has a platform, and it's, in my opinion, is being misused by a lot of artists. By several people, and I think that's the sad thing is, it can't just be about music. It has to be about, okay, well, this is what I believe. I need everybody to believe this, or think this, or see how crazy I am. Those things, and that's where it gets detrimental, and the responsibility for the artist to be, I don't know if you want to call it a role model or example, that's just getting watered down in today's society. Anyway, public figures, the most popular public figures are outlandish and, leading, in no way leading people to truth and beauty, but, and so especially the artists, because music has such a pull on the soul. Those particular artists who.
Did you mean for that to rhyme?
Did I rhyme that? It's just like in me. I just can't even.
Such a pull on the soul. I thought, hey, we gotta write that down. Can we get his guitar for him?
I can't help it. It just comes out, But yeah, I really do believe that the artist has a responsibility, like any public figure.
Right.
And probably even more so because people will listen, people come in droves to say, I've been to so many concerts of these artists that I love, and like I'll pay, $60, $70, $80, $100 to go see these people. And I'm like,
Well, it's like that when you come to Life on the Rock. I mean, the crowd out here, they pay that much money just to come in and see Father Markenberg. Yeah. And don't you think that it's impossible to escape the role model thing? You think years ago when Charles Barkley says, I'm not a role model back, when we played in the NBA. It's like you can't escape it, especially in today's society, because cameras are in front of people and everybody's got a website.
Right.
And you really have to have a social media presence if you're going to get anywhere in today's society.
Sure.
So it's impossible, isn't it, to really escape the idea of role model, because people are going to acknowledge Ike Ndolo and they're going to see you, and someone's going to be inspired by something about you, so you become a model for these people.
Right.
Don't you think it's impossible to escape that to some degree?
Oh, completely. It's completely impossible to escape it, especially, you know, for any public figure. You're going to be, I mean, for anyone, everyone has a phone with a camera, you know, like, you know, and has a Twitter feed, you know, like, so it's, I mean, it's almost, I mean, I think for the public figure, it's very, very important. For the musician or whatever, it's so important to remember, like, look, you are leading people regardless of what you think, you know, you are leading people. And for the most part, you're leading young people, you know, and you know, a lot of my young life was and my thoughts on life were formed by, you know, artists, what, you know, good or bad, you know, and so to always remember that. But you know, you tell, you know, some random person, some artist, and like, hey, remember, you know, that people are looking up to you, and they'll take that and like, oh yeah, and then they'll lead them their way, which, you know, may be good or maybe bad.
It seems like,
you know?
today, like our celebrity culture is filling a vacuum of a lack of formation sometimes we can have, right? If they're not being taught the truth and maybe know certain principles of life and morality, then just these celebrity things can come in and just move us emotively.
Sure.
And not really be substantively or very truthful. But we have another song, Awake, O Sleeper. What is that one about? This
song is from Ephesians 5, and it's taken from that part, Awake, O Sleeper, arise from slumber, Christ will give you light. And in my travels, you know, you go around, you see a lot of different things, and you see the church in you know, beyond your own diocese. And, you know, I was seeing a lot of weariness and a lot of tiredness, and literally people asleep, you know, even coming back to my own church, you know, I'd look out and there's like grown men asleep in the pews at 11 o'clock in the morning, and you're like so discouraged, you know. So I saw this line, and it's always been one of my favorite lines in scripture, so I'm like, I'm gonna write a song about those people who sleep in church, but like sleep in their faith.
Right.
And as I was writing the song, I had to stop, you know, and because I was
because you fell asleep?
Yeah, because I fell asleep. I'm sleeping. I'm like writing. Like, I'm so tired. But literally, it was because, you know, as I was indicting and pointing the finger, I was like, yeah, that's me. That's totally me. I'm totally, you know, lackadaisical in my faith and asleep and past the, you know, the beggar who needs, you know, who just needs food, or, you know, I'll play a mass and I'll go through half the mass and then realize that I'm there, one, and that the priest has been talking, or like we're at communion, I have no idea what happened for the whole time. It's like, I'm that person, you know. And so instead of pointing the finger, I started writing from a point of, this is something that I needed to sing, something I needed to hear and to believe. So that's where really that idea of the church arising and awaking and awakening from their slumber is just such a strong theme for me, like the empty tomb, the rising. I just love that. And so Awake, O Sleeper is from just kind of that, and that's where my heart was when I wrote it.
Okay. So it's Ike Ndolo singing Awake, O Sleeper.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In the darkest times of life, when our lights refuse to shine, you are there, you are there. When our hearts become like stone and we live without hope, you are there, you are there. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Awake, O sleeper, arise from slumber. Christ is calling. Rescue us, rescue us. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Awake, oh sleeper, arise from slumber. Christ is calling your name. Awake, oh sleeper, arise from slumber. Christ is calling your name. Awake, arise, and follow the light. Awake, arise, and follow the light. Awake, arise, and follow the light. Awake, arise. Christ is calling your name. Awake, oh sleeper, arise from slumber. Christ is calling your name. Awake, oh sleeper, arise from slumber. Christ is calling your name. Awake, oh sleeper, come and rise up from your grave. Awake, oh sleeper, come and rise up from your grave. Awake, oh sleeper, come and rise up from your grave.
I love that. You have like a plaintive cry in that. It's like Christ calling out to us.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah, for sure. That was
beautiful.
one of my favorites, and just because really the theme is, so dear to me. Just yeah.
Yeah, it's very expressive, and yeah, Christ is calling us, and that we can lose confidence, lose trust, and be asleep in our life. Can you talk about that creative process? I know I have no musical talents. What's that like? I mean, does that just come to you? You just write it down, and go to sleep, or what is that?
Sometimes, yeah. It always depends, and I think I go through kind of an ebb and flow, and there are moments where I'm just writing all the time and writing a ton of music, and then I'm several like sometimes months where I'm like not writing anything. It's like dry. So it's funny where it comes to me. Sometimes I'll just be in the car and I'll get a melody, and so my phone has a little recorder, so I'll just record it real quick and I'll get home and write it down. Or
so it's important you capture at the moment of inspiration.
I have the worst memory ever, so I need to get it down before I forget it. So and then a lot of times too, I'll write with other people. Been to Nashville several times just to go to write and sit in rooms and write with other songwriters, and that's a kind of like a nerve-wracking experience as well sometimes, because it can be like, all right, we want to write this song, this is what it wants to be about, here we go, and it's, you sit in a room sometimes with a stranger and you're like, all right, let's get the song. And so, but it's I love the writing process, and I'm always constantly looking to get better as a songwriter. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Ike Ndolo. Don't go away. Back in a moment.
I
our next song is Crooked Soul. Tell us about that one.
This is from my new record. The other two are from my first record called We Were the Beggars. This is from the new one that's going to be out in September. It's called Rivers. The record's called Rivers. And this song I wrote several months ago, actually almost a year now. It's actually been longer than a year. And every time I'm at a show, I always describe it as like a hootenanny. That's all I can describe it as. And everyone's like, what, hootenanny? But then when I'm in the South, everyone's like, oh yeah, we get hootenanny. So I'm like, always imagine yourself in like, you know, the South somewhere, which is fitting because that's where we are. You know, on a porch, someone's playing banjo, you're drinking sweet tea, and you know, fireflies going. That's kind of what this song invokes. It's definitely like more on like a almost like a spiritual song, like a slave spiritual song, but in like a hymnish form. But it's very allegorical. Kind of speaks to my life, but almost a little. It's probably one of the most fun songs that I've written and that we do. And but I always write from a lot of times I'm always writing from a place of reality of my own sinfulness, you know, and that's definitely this song is, I know I'm not perfect, and I know that, and God, you know that more than anyone else, and I'm just asking, begging, pleading for your mercy, and so that's what this song is, but in a hootenanny form.
I'm from Nebraska. I have no clue what hootenanny is. I know a woman, her name was Hootenanny. Forget it.
All right. Well, we're going to have Ike Ndolo singing Crooked Soul. Hope you enjoy it.
I'm a rambling man, I'm a restless soul, and I fill my heart with its gaping hole. I try to fill it up with the world's sweet milk, but it leaks right out, leaving dust and filth. Can you say, oh, say this crooked soul? Can you save, oh, save this crooked soul? I was born so far from my daddy's place, and my uncle cursed me down to my grave. There's a devil watching all the moves I made, and I can feel his breath with every step I take. Can you save, oh, save this crooked soul? Can you save, oh, save this crooked soul? In a muddy river where I wash my stains, and the Holy Ghost, oh, my life reclaim. Well, I can't help but wonder if I have been changed. Am I dazzling white, or am I still the same? Can you save, oh, save this crooked soul? Can you save, oh, save this crooked soul? So I cry to God on this chapel floor. I'm a seasoned sinner, but can you make me more? Help me give my coat to the weak and poor, so I can wash up naked on your golden shores. Can you save, oh, save this crooked soul? Can you save, oh, save this crooked soul?
That's really neat. Looks like you really found your voice on that. Really.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about this new record. I definitely went from a place of just kind of looking at myself and the things that I love, and where my voice is comfortable, and all those kind of musician things I got to think about, and yeah, this song definitely was kind of the first thrust in that direction. Was all right, here we're going to kind of get to the roots of where I'm at.
And we should mention that I know we have a lot of young viewers out there who'd like to do music maybe full time. You also did your homework. You were telling us that you've studied music. Can you tell us about that part of the craft?
Yeah, after playing and singing for several years, I decided to go to school and to learn more, and that was really, really important. We talk about the spiritual aspect and all these things, but it's good to always want to do things with excellence. And I think I was at that point where I didn't know a whole lot about music, and so I was like, all right, this is going to be good for me. So I learned oral perception, started learning piano, which I play sort of, kind of, not great, but just one of those things. And music theory, and learning even how to use my voice better. Having because I was a vocal major and a guitar major, so I would have to I picked I have juries at the end of the semester, and you would pick 2 songs, and they were classical pieces. The one I chose was O Cessate. It was an Italian piece. And so I'm singing this, in this
aria or something.
Yeah, and it was just, it was stretching for me, but I learned, I learned a ton in that process, and same with being a guitar major as well. So I think it's really important, whatever you're going to do, try to do it to the best of your ability. And I think for me, it was like, all right, this is going to be good for me to, get in school and to
Grace
learn
builds
more.
on nature.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to
exactly.
cooperate with it. Well, I promised to get into your story. Really didn't get too much. Oh, maybe we jump right to that part where you said you had a fear of surrendering to God. Talk about that point in your life and what happened.
Yeah, this was when I was first moved to Arizona, and I was in this missionary program, and we were about to head on mission to the Virgin Islands, and we were at a men's retreat, and this program had lasted for about 7 months, and I was just learning a lot about my faith and growing, but I was still holding back a lot of things from God, and I was just terrified of really what He was going to ask me to do. If I
you were about 20 years old.
I was
19?
18. I was 18. Okay. Yeah. And I was just really afraid of the things that He might want me to, of what God might want me to do or ask of me. And, all the way from, I was like terrified, like maybe He's going to ask me to be a priest. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. Or, maybe He's going to send me to China and be a missionary. And I remember I was at it was a Saturday night at this men's retreat, and I was just kind of in front of the Blessed Sacrament, and I was just kind of face down and like, all right. I finally did it. I could feel Him pulling me and asking, and finally I was like, all right, Lord, whatever You want from my life, whatever You ask of me, whatever You desire, I want to give to You. And it was such I still remember that moment of absolute peace. It wasn't overly emotional or anything like that. It was just, God had been knocking my whole life, and I'd been kind of taking steps, and this was like that big leap for me. And I call it my real initial conversion. And I'm never done. We talked to you're never done with conversion. You're never done with growing in holiness and growing in the Lord. And Lord knows I'm very far from that word holiness, but it was that moment of deciding that nothing else mattered but what He wanted for me, and He knows me better than I know myself. And so I'm going to give Him everything. Was such a amazing moment for me, and it took me out of myself. And here I am today. If you would have told me 11 years ago that this is what I'd be doing, for my life and making a living as a worship leader, as a professional musician, I'd be like, you're crazy, And I thought I was going to be a teacher or something like that, and here I am. And it's crazy how God takes the desires in your heart. Even sometimes that you don't even know that they're there.
Let's talk quickly. If someone wants to get a hold of your music or book you, where do they go for that?
Yeah, you can go to my website, IkeNdoloBand.com. You can go there if you want to get my first record digitally. It's called We Are the Beggars, and you can go to iTunes. I think Amazon has it, SpiritAndSong.com. You can go there. And then my website as well, IkeNdoloBand.com. And then the new record, if you see us around in the fall, we will have it on hand for you to buy. And that new one's going to be called Rivers, and it will be on iTunes as well eventually. So.
Well, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, thank you
And,
so much for having me.
We'll pray for you with
Thank
Jackie
you.
Francois there.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Tell her hi from the Rock House.
We will. I will. Yeah, for sure. For
Great
sure.
to have you. Well, the Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
May our Heavenly Father shine His face upon you. May He give you His peace, and may He strengthen you to do His will. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
We'll see you next week.